In the previous video, I said we were going to learn how to make this plot look a little better, but I'll do that in the next video. Instead, in this video, what I want to do is I want to get rid of this range length k-list, because that's really not the Pythonic way to get the indices of elements in a list. So let me show you a better way to do this. And I said in the last video we'd use enumerate, and I'll show you that way, but then since saying that, I've also thought of a better way to do it. So you should think of both of these methods that I'm about to show you. You should think of them as much more Pythonic than this range length k-list. Okay, that was just a complicated way of getting range 6, this range length k-list. So what I wanted here was I wanted to know what is the index of k. So this was getting me the index, and then this was getting me the k. Okay, but there's a way to do this sort of all at once, and that is to replace this with the built-in Python function enumerate. And this is going to return two things each loop through the for loop. It's going to return the index and the corresponding element in k. So for example, let me just go up here separately and say for ik in enumerate k-list. And then let me print the value of I is I. And let me say print the value of k is k. And just to remind you what k-list looks like, it was this sort of random looking list of 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10. So can you predict how this is going to look when I evaluate it? Here, let's see. So I didn't do it right. The thing I did incorrectly was I forgot to tell Python that these were supposed to be f strings, so I forgot to put the f in front here. So this is sort of exactly what we wanted. The first thing that's being returned is the index, so it goes like 0, 1, 2, 3, and k is going through k-list. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 1, 2, etc., down to 10. Okay, so let's try to use that here. So I can totally get rid of this line because we already know what k is. And then I think everything else stays the same. Okay, so that's fine. And I think this is the right way to do this if maybe your X list or AXS flat, if that is a different length, for example, than k list, then I think this is the best way. But let me show you another way that I think is even more Pythonic than this enumerate way. And that is using something called zip. So let me introduce this separately. Let me say a list equals, how about 7, 10, 2. Let me say b list equals 3, 4, 5. And so let me say for a, b in, so zip is the new thing I'm introducing here, a list, b list. And then let's just print a and b. And so how you should think about zip is, and you're supposed to picture like a zipper, and so it's like grouping this 7 with this 3. It's grouping the 0th items together, then it's grouping the first items together, and so on. Okay, so it like groups 7, 3, 10, 4, okay, these elements, 2, 5. And so eventually what we're going to do is we're going to, like, we never cared about the index I, other than that helped me get something out of AXS flat. Okay, but I never needed I itself, so I can get rid of I and use this zip up here. And just before we see that, let me show you what zip of A list and B list looks like. So not very helpful. It's just this special type of object called a zip object, whatever that is. But if I try to convert this zip object into a list, then it'll look much more normal. So it's this length 3, okay, because A list and B list, they need to have the same length, and they both have length 3. So it's this length 3 list of tuples, and the 0th tuple is the 0th item of A list and B list grouped together. And so that's exactly what we're going to do with klist and axsflat. So I can go in really either order I want. Let's go. So let's change this enumerate to a zip, and we're zipping together klist and axsflat. And need to write these in the correct order. So the initial thing returned, k, that comes from this first element, so that's going to be the k in klist. The second thing returned is going to be the axes object from axslist. Okay, so let's call it k comma x. K in the other order would not make sense. And just like we deleted the k above, just like how we were able to delete this because it was already showing up as we ran through the for loop. Now in this one, I can also delete this x definition, okay, because again, it's all automatically being assigned when we go through the for loop. And yeah, I think that should work. So I think this is definitely the most Pythonic of these three different methods.